So right now I'm just on the edge of Woodhill Forest, and I have the Sigma 12 to 24mm 2.8. This the native Sony E-mount version, which I'm filming on now. As you can probably tell, it's like super wide. And I've just come out early. It's about 3:30. Sunset's not for about 2.5 hours, so every time I've tried to do a sunset video for you guys lately, I've always been too late. So today I've decided to come out earlier. I'm gonna wander around the forest a little bit before sunset, try and get some really cool photos out here with this ultra wide lens, and then we're gonna head off to the beach. And it's low tide, which is really good for this area. It's low tide bang on sunset, so hopefully we'll be able to get some really nice landscape photography, and then we'll go home and edit them together on the computer. So at the moment I'm just on the other side of this lake thing here. As you guys can see, there's just this sort of leading line leading out towards, oh man, my arm is long. This is a wide lens. Anyway, so at the moment you can see it just kind of leads out, and I'm going to try a composition like this. I'm going to shoot it at about f11, ISO 100, and whatever the shutter speed I need to get the exposure pretty accurate. So let's take this photo and then we'll move on. So with this video, what I'm going to do is take all the photos and show you guys the unedited JPEGs, and then we'll go home and edit them together so you can see the before and afters. But I just had a quick look through the viewfinder of that image I just took. It was at f11, 14mm, and man, it looks like it's really impressive, the sharpness, and I couldn't see any chromatic aberration or anything like that, so far it's looking up. I did just buy the Tamron 17 to 28 as well, so hopefully I don't regret it. There is a few downsides with this lens, which we'll talk about later, but so far optical quality just looks amazing. Anyway, let's carry on. There's this cool pathway leading through the forest here. But the light is quite bad at the moment, so maybe we'll try one from this end looking the other way. This tree's kind of cool. Let's see if I can get an interesting composition with this. So I got a reasonable photo of that tree. I hope it comes out good in the photos. I find I really struggle with landscape photography these days. Maybe I just thought I was better than I was when I used to do it a lot, but it's definitely not my strong suit. But hopefully we get some images, some nice ones. Certainly makes my car look big on the inside. I will mention also, so far the video focus seems to be really good. It hasn't missed at all. I mean, I haven't looked at the footage on the computer yet, but whenever I change or turn the camera around or focus on something close, the video focus seems to be really good and completely silent. So we're going to head down to the beach and maybe hang out a little bit, wait for low tide, wait for the sun to go down, see what we can get out there. One of the downsides with this lens, which is pretty obvious, is the large spherical front element and the fact that it doesn't have filter threads. So it kind of reminds me of my old Tamron 15 to 30 when I had that, when I used to be on Nikon. And I had a kind of slide over Nissy filter holder thing, which was fine, but it's just more stuff to carry around. You're going to have to use like the 150mm filters, which are really big, not cheap at all. So if you're someone that uses filters as like a landscape photographer, it may be a downside, but if you don't use filters at all, like I don't generally use filters, but I'm not a landscape photographer, so for some people I think it's going to be a downer, and others are just not going to care, but it's totally up to you. That's that out. It's like a seal over here laying on the concrete. Pretty sure it's asleep, not dead. I hope it's not dead. Oh no, it's alive. If you come to New Zealand and see those fur seals, don't mess with them, they will bite. Alright, so we're about an hour away from sunset, a little bit less, so I'm going to get my stuff, head down to the beach, try and get some more compositions ready for sunset, because I'm prepared this time. I do definitely struggle with slowing down, and you know, I'm kind of one of those people, if you guys have been following for a while, you know that I'm just a million miles an hour all the time, and it's quite difficult for me to just like chill out and take my time. I hope you guys are enjoying this video and the colors and stuff like that. It's all filmed in S-Log too. I do have new settings and stuff like that and new color grading, so I'll go over that in the video after this one as well. So if you have any questions or comments with that, put them below and I'll cover them in the next video. One thing I do find with this lens that I've noticed, I mean it's pretty obvious, but you have to be a rocket scientist, but the zoom ring is backwards. Maybe all the other companies are backwards, I don't know, but it's the opposite way to Sony and Tamron and stuff. I think all the Sigma lenses are like that, so I don't think it's a really big deal, but it's just something to note. The zoom does go the other way. It's actually really difficult to find a composition out here for a wide angle lens. You get lots of cool stuff with like a telephoto or something, but it's just so vast, it's really difficult to find something that stands out. That's pretty cool. So maybe something like that. With these lines coming out to the edge of the rocks here. Maybe I can get some of these waves. Sun setting down here, there's a few clouds over in the distance that might glow up. I'll set up the tripod and see what we can find. Alright, so I've got a shot here set up. You can't see the whole thing obviously, because it's video, you know, it goes up a little bit further, but you get the idea. The waves are going to be crashing up into here and all sorts of glorious things going on. So I'll take a shot now before the sun goes down anyway. So I don't think it's coming up very well in the video, but down in this region here there's some pretty horrendous flaring that's coming on. I mean the sun's just over here, it's just out of shot, so I've got my tripod all set up, it's all locked off, ready to go. I'm just waiting for the sun to drop. I do have to hold my hand sort of just above the camera to stop the flaring, but that's no real drama. You can do it without getting your hand in the shot. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was the size and the weight of it, because I know a lot of you guys will have questions on that. When it was first dropped off to me, I held it in my hands and I thought, oh, it's definitely smaller than I expected it. I'm not sure why. Maybe I was looking at like the adapted version, or you know, maybe not a lens even, I'm not sure. But anyways, I held it in my hands and I was like, wow, it is heavy. It's not crazy heavy, like I mean, I'm just holding it by the lens. I'm holding the whole camera by the lens now, vlogging with it, and I'm not getting tired. So, you know, it's much heavier than the Tamron 17-28, but at the same time, it feels like it's better made, and you know, it feels like it has a bit more of a premium build quality to it. But yeah, it is a heavy lens. It doesn't have a filter thread. So they're probably the main things that I guess landscape photographers are going to worry about if it's something that you're looking at. For me personally, I don't know if it would bother me. I'd have to go out and do landscapes all the time and find out, but the Tamron 17-28 is a really good option as well if you really need that and you just want the normal filter threads. But in camera, the first thing, like I said previously when we were out in the forest, it seems like it's really sharp edge to edge, like I'm talking right extreme corners, so that's a pretty good sign. Anyway, not too much longer to go, maybe 20 minutes, so I'll just hang out and wait around for that. I think now that I'm waiting, and like I said before in the car, I'm so impatient, I'm gonna get my 85mm G Master out and take a couple of shots with that. Alright guys, that's pretty much it. Sun's going down, the light's done. I don't even know what I'm talking about, I've been standing here for so long. My brain's fried, I'm too impatient. No, but we're all done. I'm gonna go head off. We're gonna go home now and chuck these photos into the computer and start editing them. Such nice soft light now. Alright, so it's actually the next morning and I've had time to go through and pick out a whole bunch of images. With these ones here, I took so many because I had my camera on a 2-second timer with 5 shots at a time, just to kind of get the crashing of the waves and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, these are all the unedited ones that I've picked out, and we'll just go through and really quickly edit them, show you guys what I do to them. These ones are going to be a little bit more involved, but these two are the first ones I wanted to touch on because so this one's 14mm and this one's at 24mm. They're both at f11, but you can see even right in the extreme corners here, it's super sharp. Falls off a little bit down on the edge here, but man, for a wide angle, it's really impressively sharp. And even at 24mm, it still kind of maintains the same very sharp lens. This is at 100%, as you can see on the A7R Mark III. Not overly happy with these shots, they're just kind of boring, but I wanted to get the path through here, but it's just the light was so terrible. But we'll edit them anyway. These ones I'd probably just use my universal preset and muck around with it a touch. There's really not a whole lot that I would do to it. That's probably about it, to be honest. Before and after, it just changes the greens and the blues and tones everything up a little bit. And I'll just click those two, sync them, and then that one's done as well. But yeah, these, to be honest, these aren't really images I'd use. So the next shot we took of this little stream river thing coming through here, I kind of like the line, but as you can see, the white balance is off, and it's not blowing out, as you can see, but definitely needs some work. Yeah, the mild one works pretty well with that, but we'll just bring the clarity back up to 0, bring the highlights down, bring up the shadows a touch maybe, not a whole lot, and we'll just warm it up a little bit. You can see the tone curve is kind of crushing things a little bit. So first thing is we'll just bring that up again. So if you bring it down, it just kind of it changes a lot. So you want to play around with that when you're talking about landscape photography a little bit. You got to remember as well, my presets are made mostly for getting skin tones really nice and accurate, and you know, giving a slight kind of filmy look, I guess. I don't like using that term, but that's the best way to describe it, I guess. This one as well, like you see, right in that corner, it's so tack sharp. Very impressive optically, this lens. So this one, again, you can't really see the path. There's a path leading out here, but this tree was really interesting. So I kind of like that. I just tried to get the exposure pretty accurate. You can see with this sensor, you can easily bring back all that detail from that. You know, the A7R3 has a really amazing sensor. But this one, I'll probably go with the mild again. My landscape photography is probably quite different to a lot of your average YouTube landscape photography. You know, they're obviously a lot better than I am at doing this, but you know, I do what I can. Maybe we'll try a bit of a circular radial filter there. It kind of helps a little bit. As you can see, guys, I'm just winging it. We're just going with the flow and seeing what happens. You can see the flaring here a little bit. Maybe bring that clarity back. No. It's all a personal taste, really. So next shot here, this was one I took with the 85mm G Master. It's not showing any information because I was freelancing it. So I've already done a video. You can I'll put the link in the description to that one if you want to see what freelancing is. So that's what this is here, is the barrel of the lens as I'm tilting it. So you can see I'm at f1.4 and I've got this rock here with the wave in focus and also the Gannet colony in the background, because my depth of field, my plane of focus is here rather than flat. So this one, maybe we'll try my new one. This one isn't out yet, but it was coming out pretty soon. So watch out for that. And maybe we'll just crop out the black corners a little bit. Just a kind of interesting arty shot there while I was waiting for sunset. So these ones were the shots I was really waiting for. I've picked out a couple of them just with how I like the waves better. But yeah. But I think this one's my favorite out of these shots. So you can see I'm at 1/6 of a second, f16, ISO 50. And if we just zoom in, you can see it's pretty sharp. I'm banging on about that a little bit, but it is just a really, really nice lens. I'm quite dark here on the edges, but you can bring it up and see that flaring as well that I was talking about in the video. Even the noise there, you know, you like from that, bringing the shadows right up. I'm at ISO 50, but it's, you know, the native ISO for this camera is 100, and there's just really no noise bringing that up. It's super impressive, but it looks kind of flat to me, so I'm not going to do that. Again, I'll probably just go for the mild preset. Play with the shadows a little bit. And I kind of like it dark like that. You could spend time going in Photoshop and quite easily removing that flare, but it's a little bit of a hassle. We'll just remove this spot here because that's really easy. And the other shots, you can see this one, I actually had my hand. You can see my hand just in the corner there, so it was quite easy to block out the flare, but I didn't manage to do it with this shot. But I like the waves in it more, everything crashing up. And I find that shutter speed, like around half a second to, you know, around this kind of area, is good for fast moving water like this. Maybe we'll make a black and white out of that other one, see what that looks like. Not very good. Maybe we'll just try a different preset with this, get a little bit more natural colors. Yeah, that's better. So this universal one is really based off the soft preset, but it's a little bit more neutral, especially when it comes to skin tones. The soft one is warmer, as the universal one is just kind of, you know, as close to real as you can get. So I actually kind of like that one better. Yeah, before and after. Yeah, I like that. So after I got these shots, I moved the camera around and pointed it straight at the horizon there to get these few shots with some more moving water, and I kind of like this one the best. It's clearly blowing out up the top there, you know, there's only so much you can recover and it just kind of gets messy, but I do have a little bit of a trick. So again, I think we'll go for the universal one. Bring it down a little bit before it sort of gets really bad in that area. Bring the shadows up. And then one thing I do, I don't know, it's just something I do, is use the Radial Filter tool, bring the exposure up a little bit, and just kind of like flare it out a touch. I find it kind of hides that, I'm not even sure, you know, you get a kind of, I don't know what it's called, but you get a sort of gradient where you've brought the exposure down. And if I turn that on and off, you can just see, you lose a little bit of detail, but it looks a little bit more natural. Maybe have to lower that and feather it out a little bit more. But it just kind of evens it out a little bit. Again, personal taste, but it works for me. You can see the horizon is pretty badly warped. I tried to correct that, but the profile isn't available for the Sony lens yet. It does come up with that one, but it only has the Canon and Nikon ones. I'm not sure if the distortion's worse with the Sony lens, but you know, you can bring it out a little bit more. And you got to remember also, the camera's pointed quite far down. If I was vertical, you know, or if the camera was sort of as horizontal as possible, this isn't going to be that much of an issue. But just something to keep an eye on there. Something else you can do with this Radial Filter tool, put about half a stop in it and add a little bit of detail where you want to sort of highlight stuff. Like so. So again, if we turn those on and off, just adds a little bit more punch to the image. So that's it, guys. I'm going to upload all of these raw files so you guys can play with them for yourself, and drop a comment below, let me know what you think. If you have any questions, also drop a comment, let me know, and I'll answer those as soon as possible. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.